It's always good to be the last person to present just before everybody goes off the groups. So I'm glad there are a few friendly faces in the crowd. A number of people have already seen the authentic learning statement. We've produced it in this format. We've got cards and there are posters to go with it. The statement, as Mick has said, is a very important statement. It is an important statement. In 2006, there was a very important statement also developed about assessment, a statement which this has evolved from, a statement which in 2006 no one questioned, but the challenge I think that we have had has been the capacity to enact that in our schools. How are we going to actually bring about change? Well, I suppose in launching the authentic assessment statement this afternoon, I really want to start with that as the big message. This is something that is changed. And if after 2 years, after 5 years and after 10 years, there isn't significant cultural shift, the whole process has been a failure. And we're working at a time where there's really a context driving our work on authentic assessment. If you have a look at it in New Horizons, our 3-year strategic plan for Sydney Catholic schools, at the heart and centre of that, strategic priority 2, authentic learning, strategic priority 3, student wellbeing, both those are critical components of our discussion on assessment. What we've been talking about today, in terms of authentic learning and the great work that is already being done in schools, highly evident. But again, the authentic learning statement is meaningless unless it's enacted in schools, unless it's given life and unless it's given meaning. I don't know about your experience, but certainly mine has been very often that teaching and learning has been driven by technology or by the systems and the processes that are in place. We have a golden opportunity at the moment with the development of an enterprise school and student management system, SCS, to actually have a conversation about assessment and say, what are the things that we actually want? How do we want the technology to serve the learning, rather than let the technology inform what we do with the learning? Another significant area of change has been the New South Wales syllabuses for the Australian curriculum. Each of the syllabuses in English, maths, science, history have got components where there needs to be an equal balance of assessment as for of learning. That equal balance is critical. And I dare say, given the good work that we are doing in schools, given the multiple agendas that we're trying to work on, I've still got to say I don't think those elements of the syllabuses have been fully enacted. And there are, within stage 6, bigger changes occurring in BOS in the HSC. NAPLAN is going online probably by about 2018, 2019. And with those changes, we need to be changing too. There are some very simple and basic questions we need to look at about assessment. And the first one is, why do we assess? And when the Authentic Assessment Committee first met, one of the biggest challenges was to actually clearly identify why we do assess. Most times it's practice to rank and sort. In secondary schools, I know it's a matter of saying, well, if we get it as an assessment task, students will think it will count and they'll put some work into it. Neither of those areas refer to learning. What we assess becomes significant. There is a lot of busy and pretty work that gets done. I've been in multiple schools, and particularly stage 4 history, year 7 history, the number of students who have made trebuchets as part of their learning. But you have a look at it, and what's the connection to that to any syllabus outcomes? Literally none. So the purpose of assessment needs to be very clear. How we assess? We rank and sort. We rank and sort because when I was a boy, we ranked and sorted. And we haven't changed. And as I enter this period of my career, which is the latter stages of it, I'm really quite amazed that we haven't changed. And I think that's one of the great challenges we have as educators, that we move that agenda forward. The other area that's significantly important is the way in which we interpret the results of assessment. How do we use NAPLAN? Do we use it for its desired purpose, that is, diagnostic, to provide good interventions to make sure students learn? Or do we use it to rank schools and students? The same can be said of the higher school certificate. And I suppose the vision for assessment, I think, is captured pretty well by this brief presentation, which looks like it's going to happen.
The board, there was a notice that read, art class, canceled, testing day. Daisy gulped. She could feel her heart beat faster. Daisy stood in line, waiting for her turn at the testing booth. Some kids seemed happy to be in this line. Some were studying their notes furiously. Some seemed oblivious, some bored. But Daisy, she felt dizzy and a bit seasick. Daisy's turn was near. She blinked as flashes of light pulsed from the room every few seconds. Even the happiest of students left the room dazed and bewildered. And now it was Daisy's turn. She entered the room and faced an enormous camera. Daisy's heart beat so loudly that she could not even hear her brain think. She winced as the blinding light flashed as the testing camera snapped her. Daisy left the room happy to be done with it. Happy it was over. Weeks later, the testing camera report came back. Daisy showed her father. "Is this me?" she asked him. He paused, then smiled. Then he pulled out his wallet and showed her a photo on his driver's license. "Who is that?" Daisy asked. Her father smiled. "Exactly." Daisy smiled too. "All I know is this, Daisy. Your dancing makes me smile. Your art delights me. Your words dazzle me. Your ideas surprise me. Your kindness inspires me. That is the you I know. And yet, try as I might, I'm only beginning to see a glimpse of the you that you are becoming."
For me, that captures very much what our aim should be in terms of assessment. It should be to capture those things that our students can do that often the default methods that we use, the multiple choice test, cannot capture. They're the important things. And I suppose one of the things that's very important when we look at the authentic assessment statement to understand is that it is based on very, very sound research and evidence. And that research and evidence talks about the need to integrate assessment as part of the learning, not something that sits aside, as often we do. The changes in terms of neuroscience, as Mark said this morning, what we've learned over the last 5 years has been significant. Those changes need to be tracked in the way in which we assess. We need to move away from cultures of performance, where we rank and sort and assess and evaluate skills and performance, to cultures of improvement, so that every student has the opportunity to learn and grow. And we measure what matters, not what is the easiest thing to do. And there are significant implications for assessment reform, and we can't resign from them. We need not just to talk about differentiated learning and instruction, we need to have it in place. We need it to be a part of the assessment that we do. We need to understand, together as educators, the standards on the learning continuum K-12. And we need to be able to empower students so that they can use the language of standards and apply it to themselves so they know their own knowledge and their skills and their ability. We've got to have a more nuanced understanding of achievement. And it was delightful to hear in a number of presentations today people talking about students giving of their best, striving for themselves, not just to be number one. A very important area that we need to do though is engage with parents. And we need to change that culture as we work with them. As Masters says, there's a paradigm shift on the way. And the work of ACER has very much influenced the work that we've done on authentic assessment. And so it's been a bit of a journey. It's a K-12 journey. We're reaching a stage now where we've done the statement and we need to lead to its enactment across our schools. And so we've come up with a very clear purpose for assessment. And to my mind, this should be the resonant purpose for assessment. To understand where the learner is at a point in time, informing ongoing learning opportunities, and to ensure learning growth. Critical parts of our journey in assessment. And that purpose is not just for us as teachers. It's a shared purpose for students, teachers, school leaders, system leaders, and as I said before, parents. And we've got sound principles that underpin the authentic assessment statement. All those principles, I think, are unquestionably good. But as I said, the great challenge for us now is to enact this statement. There is great, significant cultural shift required. We need to challenge teachers' thinking. We need to challenge school leaders' thinking. We need to challenge system leaders' thinking about the way in which we use assessment and the purpose assessment has. Importantly, we've got to work with parents and we've got to work with students so that they recalibrate their understanding of assessment. Importantly, it will need a commitment from the whole system. This is a big piece of work. It is a big challenge. And the option can be to say, it's a little too hard. Let's just get the brochure because it looks great, put it on the shelf and then say we've done it. We haven't done authentic assessment until we realise that every student is a different learner, every student is capable of learning, and we encourage collaboratively, cooperatively, and critically to move forward in the assessment journey. I think we begin the journey today. It's an exciting one full of promise, and one that I think we need to have success in. Thank you.